Wednesday, July 26th, and this is Geeknights. Tonight we give you an overview of all that is Slayers, that classic fantasy comedy franchise.
Let's do this.
If I sound slightly weird today, it's because the Novocaine from when I went to the dentist earlier hasn't quite worn off, and part of my mouth feels kind of weird.
So, who had zero cavities when they went to the dentist?
Actually,
Scott.
the thing is, my
Who
teeth
had
are
a
fine.
cavity? Rim.
The funny thing is, this cavity, I basically for the last 6 or 7 years, every dentist I've had has always said, I want to keep an eye on this one tooth. It looks like it's going to get a cavity soon. But they kept saying that, and it never got a cavity. And finally, my latest dentist, I went in, and he said the same thing, and I said, "You sure it's not a cavity?" And he said, "It's real close. It's hard to tell." And I said, "You know what? Just fill it in." So he filled it in.
You see, I've noticed two different ways that dentists can tell if it's a cavity or not. The first,
He did the x-ray because he couldn't tell from looking at it.
yeah, there's the X-ray, which is the easiest way. You just frickin' look, which is almost the same as looking at it. But
Yeah.
the other way is they have this little sonar device that they can use, and they put it on your tooth and they push a button, and a number shows up on this little LCD screen.
Really? I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, they used it on me once, and if it beeps and the number goes over a certain, I guess I don't know what the limit is, like 70 or 80, I don't know, then it's a cavity that needs filling.
I remember when I was a kid, the way the dentist seemed to do it was he'd scrape metal over my teeth, and any time it stuck somewhere, he'd examine that area more closely and look for a cavity. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but the thing was, I had my teeth sealed. We talked about this in the dentistry episode. I got sealants back there. The cavity is right at the edge of the sealant, and it looks like because the sealant's so old that it had retracted, so there was a hole there.
Pund.
And there's no way you can brush a hole in your tooth.
All right, so you have an excuse, Mr. Brush.
Yeah.
Brush a lot.
However, I don't have an excuse for the other 4 cavities I got 9 years ago.
Yeah, I still have only had 2, and the first one was when I was 21, so fair.
I've got a grand total of 7, but 2 of those are technically sealants. Anyway, I have 2 other leading bits that I would like to talk about because today was a very interesting day. We made BLTs for dinner and they were awesome, but inexplicably, somehow, despite the fact that Scott and I probably eat more bread in our household than any other household near us.
You know, it's the bottom of the food pyramid. You're supposed to eat more bread than anything else.
Yeah, but what about Atkins?
It's bullshit.
Yeah, so I now make lunches at work because there's a fridge and I wanted to save some money and also because the food near my work is a lot more expensive than the food near IBM used to be. So I took my loaf of bread from home to work. Scott also took his loaf of bread from home to work. And when we went to make BLTs, we had no bread.
No B. It was just going to be an LT.
Well, the B stands for bacon.
Oh, right.
You know what? I'd make fun of you.
Plenty of bacon.
I'd make fun of you, but I was about to say the exact same thing, and the only reason I didn't say it is because you said it first, and my brain figured out what was wrong with that statement before. So
we were gonna make some BBLTs, and a 2 BBLT, and
so
we lost our 2B.
I made a BBLC instead with some cucumber because we didn't have any tomato either.
I had 1 piece of tomato on each because
you stole it from the salad I made.
That's right, and the tomatoes on the plant on the back porch aren't ready yet.
So I ran to the local Key Food to get some bread. Now, I don't want to rip on mom and pop chains or anything. So
Key Food isn't a mom and pop chain.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize that until I saw one in New York City. I didn't know it was a chain. But people who have visited us ask us why we don't go to the local grocery store and why we drive, 15 minutes away to bigger grocery stores.
Key Food sucks ass.
I mean, every time we've gone there, something horrible has happened. I mean, the first time we ever went to this Key Food, they didn't have a price on something that I wanted to buy, and then they didn't know what to do. So they were like, well, we can't sell it to you, even though, it was out in a display, and it was a thing I needed to barbecue, and I was only buying stuff to barbecue. So I basically said, well, if you can't sell me that, I don't need any of this stuff, and they got really mad. And they couldn't deal with this situation. They could have named a price, and I probably would have just paid it. Then we went a couple weeks later, and someone in the parking lot rammed a shopping cart into Scott's old car. Straight up.
Did they?
Yeah, remember?
No.
They backed up and they jammed a shopping cart into the back of your car. And then we talked about how much we hated the Key Food.
I don't remember that particular incident, but okay.
You really don't remember that?
No,
It scratched the hell up out of your back bumper and everything.
I don't remember.
You bitched about it for like a day.
did. I don't remember.
Yes, you did.
I think you're making it up.
No, I'm really not.
Doesn't matter. That was an old chick car.
Yeah, it was. It was the old Tempo.
Anyway,
And you know,
food sucks.
every time so
they
today,
didn't even have all the different like grocery products that we need.
So today I go there to buy bread, and I see, ooh, I'll buy some Kaiser rolls, and they're in these bags. And I look, and the bag is buzzing. And I look, and there's a fly in it. And then I look closer, and there's a million baby flies in it too. And I know there's probably maggots in there as well. And I just stared at it in disbelief, went and found some bread that there's no way the key food could have tainted, bought it, and I'm never going back to that place no matter what.
Bread from a commercial bakery.
Yes. I am never going back to that grocery store. Good God.
Key Food.
And
in Queens, New York, Key Food is like the grocery store. There isn't any other choice, really.
I drive past 2 Key Foods when I go between my office in Yonkers and one of the hospitals I work at in the Bronx.
Yeah, it's like this supermarket, but it's not super. It's just a regular market.
Yeah, but it's not good. Like, usually when I think of a market, I think of like those small specialty markets that have higher prices but higher quality specialty goods.
No, those are like the ultra small markets.
Yeah.
That's a small market. We go to a large market. This is just a market.
But I got another quick story. Today, you know, all these
2
events.
doubloons. One.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, as you all know, I work in hospitals, and today I had to go to a neurological intensive care unit, which was, one, exactly the way you see these sorts of things in movies. It was really kind of cool to be in there, though.
Wait, isn't that where they put brain dead people?
And all sorts of things. It was people who had like head injuries and all sorts of stuff.
Spinal injuries.
I felt bad because at one time I wanted to be professional because I'm sent here to meet with these very well-known, very skilled doctors. Like this,
who nobody knows.
Like these doctors are, I guess they're not famous, but within the community of the specific things they do, they're fairly well-known for their research, and they're really knowledgeable, really smart dudes. They're also really a lot older than me, and even though I'm a technology professional, like this is my job, and I do this sort of thing all the time, when I walked into this room and I was standing around and there's all these doctors who save lives every day, and they all introduce themselves like, hi, I am Dr. blah, 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 PhD. Hi, I am Dr. blah, 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 specialist in blah. And I'm like, hey, I'm the computer guy.
And you know what? You might not know anything about neurological whatnot, but I'm sure they don't know jack about computers.
No, they don't. But you know what? It's weird, but I don't begrudge them not knowing about computers at all. Because they know a lot.
You figure that they're so smart, they should just be able to figure out the basics of computer. You know, like they don't have to be experts like we are, but they have to know more than the average person just by their sheer, minimal level of intelligence.
It seems that from what I gather, I don't think they even have time to use computers.
Wow, how do they do doctoring? Because
they do the doctoring and other people take care of all the paperwork. But they were really smart dudes, and it was just weird to be in this place, which is a foreign and somewhat frightening, sad place full of very injured people, talking to a bunch of extremely highly paid, extremely well-educated, intelligent men. And I'm just the computer dude. I'm dressed in like a silk black shirt, and I got my little Lacus Klein pin, and they're all in business suits with lab coats over them, and it was fun.
What did they say?
A bunch of stuff that no one cares about. I'd have to tell you the details of my job, which is actually not that interesting and probably very tedious.
Did they say anything doctor-y?
Actually, before they started the thing talking to me, they were in the middle of a conversation, and I barely understood. Like, now I know how a lot of our friends who aren't so technological as us feel when they're sitting in the room while, like, me and Scott and Alex and James are talking about this stuff. Because I was standing there politely waiting for them to be finished, and I understood all of the individual words they said, but combined, they meant almost nothing to me.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, I'm done with that. That story doesn't actually go anywhere. I just thought it was interesting.
You know what I got today? I did more work today than I've done any day in the past many months.
You know what? Going to that meeting was the only work I really did today. Because all the work I've got to do was canceled or delayed or something. I got nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just wow.
All right, anyway, you got some anime news, I believe.
All right, the Fullmetal Alchemist movie, which the verdict is sort of out on whether it's actually worth watching or not.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet, so we can't make an opinion, but I have not heard anyone say anything positive about it.
Yeah, you'd think, like, with some anime movies, everyone's all excited about it. You know, they keep talking about it.
And I was real excited
before
about
the
it.
movie came out, people were saying, ooh, a Fullmetal Alchemist movie. But it was emphasis on the Fullmetal Alchemist. Like, hooray, Fullmetal Alchemist. We like that a lot. And there wasn't so much, after the movie came out, people going, oh, you got to see this movie. It's so great. It just kind of, people stopped talking.
Yeah, everyone who saw it basically told us,
The point is that Funimation Films is putting it out in movie theaters in the U.S. We don't know what theaters, but we do know that the show times are Friday, August 25th at 9:30 at night, Saturday, August 26th at 2 p.m., and Saturday, August 26th at 9:30 p.m. There's going to be basically 3 showings. Hopefully there's a theater near you if you want to go see it.
Well, hopefully it'll be in New York City, because I'll probably head down there and see it.
Maybe. Depends how much it is.
It's New York City. It'll be like $15, like every movie is.
I don't know if it's worth $15. $15 I could buy the damn DVD.
Yeah, I mean, Appleseed was really worth seeing in the theater. I mean, that was really cool. And Ghost in the Shell Innocence was absolutely worth seeing in the theater. That movie was just a spectacle of animation. I don't know about the FMA movie in terms... I mean, it's not like FMA was particularly pretty or well drawn. It was actually very generic in the way it was drawn.
Well, the trailer for the movie makes it look a lot better.
True, it does.
The movie was a much higher production value. Of course, the new Funimation trailer is kind of like,
Yeah, like trailers I'd seen before made me more excited, and then that trailer made me less excited. Yeah, I once we see the movie, we'll review it. We've had it on our computer for a long time, but we never actually watched it. And then we finally said, all right, tonight's the night. We're going to watch it. And then we learned that the subtitle track was broken.
And then I fixed it, but we still haven't watched it since then.
Yeah, the spark of let's watch it came, and then we failed at watching it, and then the spark died, and I don't think it's coming back. But anyway, instead of a second news, now you're all grown, I have a geek back, and the verdict seems to be that most of you don't like the geek backs so much, or you want them at the end of the show or something, or you want them if it doesn't take away from the news. But 1, there wasn't so much anime news that we would talk about interestingly. 2, there wasn't enough news in the real world that we're ready to talk about yet today.
Yeah, there are some big newses, but I think they're going to wait till tomorrow and next Monday.
Yeah, because I guess I've gotten to the point where I kind of want to save newses that are worthwhile, and especially until everyone out there who listens knows something about it, or at least has heard of it. That way we don't have to spend so much time explaining what the news is, and we can spend more time talking about the ramifications and or arguing with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But before I do this geek back, I'd like to say that we may have gotten our first hate mail.
Yeah, someone did send us something that is kind of like a hate mail.
But it's weird because 1, he accused us of being homosexuals.
Awesome.
And 2, he makes some pretty, I guess, I don't want to say valid, but definitely understandable criticisms.
Yeah, I replied and started a little conversation just to, add some meat to the email, and we'll get to it tomorrow.
Yes, we will. But suffice to say, it's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's actually a hate mail or not. I'm still not absolutely sure if he's kidding or what, but...
He did say that it was more of an irritation mail. Like, a hate mail is usually when someone hates you. This guy is sort of irritated with us, but he still is a fan of our show, so...
Yeah, well, he didn't actually sign his email either.
Yeah, he did.
What, like an uppercase I or a lowercase L?
Yeah, that's his like, screen name or whatever.
That's not a screen name. One character is not a screen name.
Well, you can see it in his email address.
Yeah, but still.
Okay, whatever.
Anyway, this is an old geek back that we got a while ago, and it's also kind of a news because Anime Expo happened, and we didn't...
Weeks and weeks ago.
And we didn't really talk about it so much. And we got feedback from one of our listeners, Colin, who was actually there, and he gave us pretty much his short rundown of what Anime Expo was to him.
Yeah, meanwhile, Comic-Con just finished, which is also on the West Coast, and we haven't talked about that really either.
So we'll talk about that after Otakon.
Yeah, it's like, if a con is on the East Coast, we cover it the day after. If a con is on the West Coast, it gets delayed about like a month or 2, then we'll talk about it. Those West Coast conventions, they're crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to skip over some of this, but I'm really just going to focus on the Anime Expo stuff because we have a lot of opinions about Anime Expo, and this email is mostly a
We've never been to Anime Expo, so we can't really say them.
Our opinions are based mostly on hearsay.
Yep.
But this is this is an email that's right along our opinions. Hi, Rim and Scott. I wanted to share my thoughts on Anime Expo. Thanks for the heads up as to the size of the con. I've been to many sci-fi and comic cons starting in the late 70s, and I must say that I concur with your comments as to the type of people who attend anime cons versus other cons. I found the anime folks to be much more open and friendly. There were people playing PS2s and Game Boys, groups of people watching anime on portable DVD players, others were playing card games and or being much more outgoing than the average con goer in my genre. The people waiting in all the lines were very friendly and outgoing too. Thanks, Scott, for telling me about the updated Japanese version of Gigantor, blah, 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 skip a bit. As for the con itself, it was one of the worst run major cons I have ever been to, comparable to the stories you told about Comic-Con in New York. I got there 30 minutes before opening, and the entire parking area around Anaheim Convention Center was already full. They must have had many more people show up than they expected. They used chairs to mark the rows for ticket lines, but they ran out of tape to roll off all the areas. There were no free goodie bags once you got your tickets, no program either. The freebie table wasn't even in a huge hall.
Wait, there was no program?
Apparently, he says there was no program. Either they ran out or they didn't give anyone anything.
Okay, I mean, it's one thing because, people have been saying that the goodie bags have been drying up, but for no program, whoa.
Also, the fact that it's Anime Expo. I mean, Kineticon had a lot of really valid reasons for not having
Anime
a goodie
Expo
bag.
is supposedly the anime con of this hemisphere.
Well, it's also, I would say Otakon is. But,
yeah.
But,
well, the thing is that Anime Expo is more of a trade show, and Otakon is more of a
But
convention.
Anime Expo has such support from the industry. I can't believe that the industry would chaff them on that.
Yeah.
I mean, Kineticon had good reasons. Anime Expo has no excuse.
Yeah,
at
Anime
all.
Expo is sort of like the E3, and Otakon is sort of like the PAX.
Yeah, I love PAX. I want to go.
Yeah, we love it. We haven't been to it.
All right, to keep going on this, the freebie table wasn't even in the huge hall where people checked in, out, or bought their tickets. It was off in the corner somewhere, and you actively had to search it out. The ACC is multiple stories high. Signs for the various events only said things like second floor, third floor, etc. They
didn't say what room?
Quote, they didn't tell you the room number.
Is you sure?
You had to ask a staff member, and some of them didn't know. There were other examples too, but you get the idea. He also made a whole bunch of copies of our flyer and spread them around. Thanks for that. Everything else he says is just telling us cool stuff about us or other stuff that isn't related to the con. He was happy that we pronounced his name correctly, which mostly is because we had a friend named Colin.
Yeah, well, I know how to pronounce the name Colin. It's not, how are you going to pronounce it?
He says here people pronounced it Colleen or Colin.
Well, it could be Colin, but that's Colin Powell. And
Colleen!
And if it's Colleen, it's a female. And Colleen's usually Colleen.
Colleen.
That could be a good one, too. See, that's another thing I just remembered about Otakon is they have that information desk.
Yeah, and the people there always know what's going on.
They know everything at the information desk, and I've used it at least once every year for some random thing. Like, even if it's just, I forgot what room, I'll just happen to be near the information desk. So I'll say, hey, what room is X in? And they'll be like, room, number. And it's, a lot of conventions don't have an information desk like that,
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to go to Anime Expo maybe once to confirm, but if any of you have been to Anime Expo and had a positive experience, please let us know, because I have never really heard good things about this convention at all.
Yeah, it's like the good things you hear about the convention are always in the press releases or in front. You never hear good stuff, like people, excited about Anime Expo that are fans. Like if you go to a fan forum, there isn't a lot of Anime Expo excitement.
In fact, the best I've seen is I've seen some people who would say they had a good time at it, mostly in the Anime Expo forums, but mostly these are people who had never been to Otakon and vice versa. So it's possible.
Like we've never been to Anime Expo.
Yeah, so
it's far
I'm saying
away.
It's possible that we just really underestimate that con and they just really underestimate our cons, but I don't know.
It's a tough call.
Yeah, but if everything he said in this email is true, that's really kind of sad because, I mean, I expect even small conventions to be better than that, and they almost all are.
Yeah, I mean, Kineticon even told you what rooms, and they had a program.
Yeah.
I mean, a program that's not perfect is better than no program.
Yeah, I just wondered, did they run out of programs, which means they didn't make enough, or did they not have one, which means they're having other problems, or did they have them and screw up distributing them so people who wanted them didn't get them?
I have no idea.
Ah.
but it's not good.
Yeah, so if anyone has anything positive to say about Anime Expo, please let us know.
Yeah, and maybe we'll go to it sometime.
Yeah, maybe you can use that audio link on the website to send us some audio.
Ah. I got an owl of the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
Did you say that specifically to bait me into saying, oh, really?
Maybe.
Ah, I see what you did there.
Okay, so this is a it seems like a Japanese TV show. Of course, it could be Korean. Who knows?
You know what? I generally assume that anything like that is a Japanese TV show.
It's got to be. And there's an owl, and he's sitting on a log, and he's all like, "Yeah, I'm an owl. Yeah, that's right. What you gonna do about it?" And this guy comes up with a little Jack in the Box, and the Jack in the Box goes off, and then hilarity ensues. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, watch this owl. I love watching birds react to things because they're smart and they react in almost human-like ways in the way they look at things.
Most birds are just kind of but owls, that's something else.
Owls and parrots and smart birds. I mean, there are dumb birds. Starlings, not so bright.
It's all about the owls, baby. Yeah,
Oh,
really.
Yeah, really.
Okay.
All right. Now, this is something I found kind of randomly because I was actually looking for a good video of my old marching band because a couple of people had asked me about it. And actually, all my friends in the band, I've been asking them around, and no one has the videos anymore. So I'm trying to hunt down like some videos. But anyway, and I found this kind of randomly, and it's basically a guy who plays a trumpet duet, but it's just one guy. And he does the old trick of hold two trumpets, one in each hand on two parts of your lips, and play a song on both trumpets, playing different notes on both of them. It's not that difficult to do, but it's really difficult to do so it sounds like anything other than crap. And it's just really cool. Check it out.
Ah, that was, it's like those guys who play two guitars. Or,
Yeah, I like stuff like that. I really like watching people do cool things with instruments.
It really always bothers me, like, how long has it been since someone's invented a new instrument,
Well, keep in mind that the vast majority of instruments that have been invented over the years have been ignored for good reason.
That is absolutely true. But, you can't tell me or convince me that there isn't a useful instrument that hasn't yet been created.
Yeah, well, over the years, there have been a lot of things, like trombones and trumpets and French horns have evolved considerably and gotten better and better and better.
Of course.
New instruments have appeared, like the sousaphone was a new instrument that basically...
How new?
Long time ago.
Centuries?
John Philip Sousa days.
Yeah.
Hence sousaphone.
Yeah. So it's not a new instrument.
It's new.
I think the newest instrument that's
the theremin.
Is the theremin, or perhaps the electronic keyboard.
The synthesizer.
Well, there's new synthesizers every day.
True.
Maybe that's why there's no new instruments, because people just make a new synthesizer to make a new sound if they come up with one. And we don't need an actual instrument for it anymore.
Yeah, there's already a million kinds of trumpets. I can't think of a different kind of trumpet I would want to make.
Well, no, a different mechanism, like not a woodwind instrument, not a brass instrument, a new kind of instrument that works on a different principle.
All right, so other than something vibrating at the end of a tube.
Yeah.
Okay. How about hitting something? We got that covered.
We've got the hitting, we've got the string plucking, we've got the blowing into something. We need a fourth way to make music.
Maybe we should read The Fourth Way.
No, because that has nothing to do with music.
Yeah, but the moon might know.
No, it's just going to eat your soul.
All right, now, to the Geekback we got a while ago complaining about inside jokes. That was a fucking inside joke right there.
Holy shit, was that inside.
Yeah. So I'll leave it at that. Today we're going to talk about Slayers, kind of in general. We're
not Slayer as in the band.
Slayer!
Not Slayer as in I'm going to slay you.
Or don't forget people who ride sleighs.
Yeah.
Arrow of slaying versus arrow of slaying.
Right, so the Slayers that we're talking about are the Slayers, as in...
The anime mostly.
The anime mostly, but also the manga.
We're not reviewing it so much because I've only seen the first Slayers and most of Slayers Next. Scott has only seen the first Slayers and a bunch of the OAVs, and neither of us have read the manga at all. Nope. I bought a bunch of it, but I haven't even looked at it yet.
I haven't read a single Slayers manga. Now, let's first talk about what Slayers things exist. There are 2 mangas.
Yep.
There's a prequel movie. There's a prequel OAV. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 sequel movies. There's the original Slayers TV show.
26 episodes.
There's Slayers Next, which is the second TV show.
Also 26.
And there is a third Slayers TV show, Slayers Try.
Which is 24 episodes and then some crap.
Yep. So, Slayers is about mostly this one girl, Lena Inverse.
Now, she is a magic user. She is a high-level magic user in a world that is basically Dungeons & Dragons made real.
This is exactly Dungeons & Dragons.
I mean,
the
imagine
people
a
who
world...
made Slayers were D&D players, and this was like one of their campaigns.
Like, imagine a world where the world is just like D&D, and people can just cast Fireball, and high-level people just kick the living hell out of anyone who's lower level.
Yeah.
There's big baddies, and you fight them.
Now, there are 2 types of Slayers shows and manga. There are the Lena Inverse with Naga the Serpent, and there is Lena Inverse with everyone else.
Now, I greatly prefer the latter of the two.
I greatly prefer the former.
Yeah. See, they're both good shows, and they're both good. There's a very different feeling. I mean, theoretically, Slayers with Naga occurs way before she meets up with all these other people.
Yeah, Slayers with Naga is what you're going to see in... all the prequel movies and
the OAVs, all that stuff.
Yep. The actual TV shows, you're not going to see Naga the Serpent. She's not there.
Which is fine by me.
Okay, so Naga the Serpent, let's talk about her first because it's simple to explain.
All right.
Naga the Serpent. That's Naga the Serpent. She is incredibly tall, has gigantic boobs, and black hair, and she's a powerful sorceress.
Yeah, and see, here's
Lena Inverse is short, has small boobs, and is an even more powerful sorcerer.
Seems the general differences between the Naga Slayers and the everyone else Slayers is that the former tends to rely mostly on boob jokes. My boobs are small, OMG. My boobs are big, OMG. And then they blow stuff up and make puns.
Yep.
The latter is more, we're hungry, chaos ensues.
We go to an inn, we eat. The inn is blown up by a dragon. We go to another inn to eat. It is blown up by a dragon. They cannot eat at an inn without it being blown up. Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't figured it out, these shows are nothing but comedy.
Slayers is perhaps the perennial fantasy D&D adventuring comedy series of all anime and manga.
I mean, Lodoss War is looked to by many as the earliest really good fantasy, like high production value anime of the modern era.
Yeah, Slayers is hilarious Lodoss War.
Yes, like it's fine. I find it funnier than Lodoss Island, and I really like Lodoss Island.
Oh man, Slayers is just, Lodoss Island is made to be cute Lodoss War, but Slayers, the whole thing is just meant to be as funny as possible. Even at the incredibly serious parts,
yes,
they make jokes that are just stupid.
Like it gets to the point where the show like starts getting serious, and then something stupid happens, and they break the fourth wall all the time, and they'll turn to you and be like, "Yeah, there's no way they let the show get that serious." Haha.
Yeah, it'll be like they're fighting the super serious bad guy, and this is a super serious, awesome fight music, and they're going to save the world or a bunch of people are going to die. And then some guy would be like, whatever.
Now, the best part about Slayers is that a lot of things in Slayers are very cliche, but a lot of the cliches in Slayers were not so cliched when they were done. And they've become cliches more so since. And also, there's one moment in the original season of Slayers that, to me, just defines part of the awesome of the show, where there's the big bad guy. And he's about to do his big bad thing, and the heroes show up to stop him, and he's like, "You cannot stop me," and he sends a monster for them to fight. Now, in any typical fantasy whatever, the bad guy would stand there watching while the good guys fought his giant monster, and then when they beat the giant monster, there'd be some sort of epic final conflict. The bad guy, as soon as he sicks the monster, immediately runs away, locks the door, does his evil ritual, and completes it as fast as he can.
Yep.
The show is just awesome.
It's very awesome. There are a lot of other things that make it awesome. Like, Rim was talking about some of the cliches. You know how many animes have you seen where the main group of characters is always hungry, and they, once in a while they get money and food?
Like Samurai Champloo.
And Cowboy Bebop and all those. Slayers, I think, is the first show to have that.
I'm sure Anime World Order is going to send us, "Oh, you forgot about Poland."
Oh, we sure did. Damn Poland.
Yeah. I mean, once again, we're not reviewing Slayers because I think we're going to review each season and each bit of Slayers independently.
Yeah, this is an introduction to the world of Slayers for those of you who don't know of it. Because Slayers is a really old show that was super popular, and they licensed the hell out of it, and they distributed it all over the U.S., and then after they sold it to everyone, it's been kind of forgotten in favor of newer shows, and I think even some of the licenses lapsed and were re-picked up. And
I mean, it used to be back in the day when you went to a Suncoast or somewhere that actually sold anime, they would have VHSs of Ranma and then have VHSs of Slayers. Like, those two were always there everywhere.
And nowadays, a lot of new fans don't even know Slayers, or they know of it, but they've never seen it.
Yeah, and honestly, I have to admit that I hadn't seen that much of the first season of Slayers, and it wasn't until Scott and I actually watched it all the way through that it was actually weird to see the characters before they'd met each other, because I'd seen so much of Slayers where they're all already together.
Yeah, it was it's always weird to watch, what happened before if you already know what happened after.
Star Wars.
Oh God. Yeah, let's talk about this one. If you're going to watch any Slayers,
The movie?
The movie is what you have to watch.
All right. Now, when we say the Slayers movie, we mean the one that you'll see in the anime store on DVD. The one that is right there everywhere. Everyone knows it as the Slayers movie.
Yeah,
definite
it
article.
says on the DVD case, Slayers, the motion picture.
Now, it is a Lena and Naga, and this is where many of our inside jokes come from, surprisingly.
There is the main joke in this, the plot of the movie is that this is island, Mipros Island, and Lena Inverse is on this island, and there's something bad going on there. And she has to figure it out and stop it, and she's a super powerful sorceress, so that's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's mostly the figuring it out that's the problem.
Yeah, plus she doesn't really care until they bribe her with a lot of money.
Exactly,
But keep in mind that this movie is a lot different from the Slayers TV shows, and that it's very surreal and weird.
Very, at least at some parts of it.
Yeah, but overall, I mean, compared to the TV show, which is very straightforward.
So early on in the movie, some guy shows up and he's like, he's going to fight with Lena, and he says, I am the 5th strongest man on Mipros Island.
Now,
Wah-ha-ha-ha-ha.
I highly recommend you watch the dub, because it's pretty well done, and I got to admit, hearing someone yell in English, "Ha! I am the 5th strongest man on Mipros Island," blah, 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 I can't help but laugh at that.
And then a little while later, she runs into the 4th strongest man on Mipros Island. And, well, you can see where it goes from there, but when we talk about being the Xth strongest something in something, we're making fun of the first Slayers, the Slayers movie.
Yes. Now, if you've never seen any Slayers, if nothing else, pick up this movie, because it is very funny. It'll introduce you to the world. It'll introduce you to all the kinds of jokes. And you don't have to invest in an entire TV show.
Yeah, this is a completely self-contained movie. Someone who knows jack and shit about Slayers will laugh their ass off at this thing.
If you like it, either Netflix or buy the first season of Slayers, because it's really easy to come by nowadays.
Mm-hmm. And it should be even easier to come by as time goes on.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's printing more of it, but no one's buying it, and the price is just going to drop.
Now, the TV show, as opposed to the movies and OAVs and such, it gets very serious at times, but it always fades back to funny. And then Slayers Next, which is the sequel to Slayers, and it takes place pretty much right after. It just keeps going. It kind of widens the gap. There's more serious, but even more funny. And then Slayers Try, which I actually didn't like so much, and I didn't even see all of it, takes it to the extreme, and it has the crazy stupid funny and the crazy serious, and the dichotomy almost gets too big, but luckily the show didn't progress beyond that.
Yeah, another warning for anyone who's going to watch Slayers is that there's a lot of running gags and repetitive humor. You'll see a joke, and then they'll keep going with that same joke and never change it, ever.
Though the thing is, it's usually still funny to me.
It is. It's still a little bit funny every time, but if you're the kind of person who groans and moans when they've, some character has a shtick, like, what's a good example?
Amelia falls on her face when she tries to jump into the heat of battle.
Exactly. Amelia, whenever she's about to enter a fight, she climbs up somewhere very high, and then she jumps into the fight, and then she lands on her face every single goddamn time. So it's funny as hell the first few times, because you realize, she falls on her face all the time. But then in future episodes, she just keeps falling on her face.
Now, the thing is, that type of humor seems to be a mainstay of a lot of the early anime comedies. So if you can't deal with it in Slayers, you really shouldn't watch any of the early anime comedy shows, because they're all like that.
Yeah, the
At
thing
least
is,
all the
there are
ones I've
just
seen.
so many jokes like that in Slayers. I mean, every time they're eating food in an inn, it explodes or sets on fire. Or who knows what the hell.
Things get blown up all the time.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot, if you play Dungeons & Dragons or any kind of fantasy role-playing, you will appreciate these shows on such a higher level than if you don't. I mean, Lena needs money at one point, so she sits there, like, basically making magic items to sell in town.
Yeah, they actually animate that whole scene where, like, she gets some equipment and she goes out to, like, some shrine and she starts casting metamorphosis spells to turn some dreck into some gems, and then she sells them at a store in town.
Or she gets some magic items and they start selling them, like, detect magic. Ooh, this one's worth this much, and tries to sell it to people.
Yeah. Isn't there some episode later on where they go somewhere where there's no magic and they're ridiculously powerful?
Yes, and Slayers try. See, they're ridiculously powerful anyway. But
yeah,
then,
these are... Slayers is a story about high-level characters. They're stupid powerful, like saving the world from the most powerful demon god powerful.
Yeah, they are, I mean, D&D terms, they're 9th to 12th level.
Even
Easily.
more than that.
Well, Lena probably more, but everyone else seems to be. They're high level. They're definitely not epic level yet.
No, they're not gods, but they can stave off gods through the use of incredibly powerful artifacts.
Yes, kill a couple gods even.
Yep.
But Slayer's Try had something really good going for it. That part of the plot there is that they end up in a world where there is no magic. Like, people don't, like, magic is this crazy rare thing. And I don't really want to ruin much, but there's not much to ruin in Slayers, really. And they still have all their powers because they know how to cast spells. So, like, there's a point where one of the characters has one of the townspeople lead him to, like, this ancient ruin of the ancient masters, like this secret forbidden palace that has been sealed by something and hasn't been opened for thousands of years. And he's like, is this a place? The guy's like, yes. And he just kicks the gate open, walks in. He's like, oh, all right. He grabs some artifacts. He's like, this is pretty weak. Another character flies up on the top of a building to look around, and all the townsfolk think that she's going to jump to her death, and just funny stuff like that. Of course, Slayers Next has probably my favorite joke in all of Slayers, the whole thing with trying to find the Claire Bible.
The Claire Bibble?
The Claire Bibble. I don't even know. I've never actually seen the sub of Slayers
One of my
Next.
favorite jokes is the Fishmen.
Oh my god.
There are this race of creatures. There are a lot of different races of creatures, as in any fantasy universe, and one of the races of creatures in Slayers are the Fishmen. And they're basically fish with cartoon arms and legs.
They're ugly as hell, and you get the sense that they smell bad.
And they're all evil, yet they're all silly.
Also, kind of stupid.
Yeah, they're stupid, evil, and silly, and they show up when you'd least expect them. It's like
Ultros.
Yeah, it's like you're walking around, and then there's a fish man. What the hell? Oh my god.
Remember the fish man that was flying around like a bullet?
Yeah, I don't know what was his problem.
I think the funniest part of that was you said, why don't they just do this? And then they just did that, and it killed the fish man immediately.
I know. Yeah.
See, that's one nice thing about the show. The characters always seem to act intelligently, like they were being played by real people in a D&D game.
Yeah, but sometimes they also act stupidly. You know, like...
well, stupid characters do.
Like, they get lost, and then they can't find each other again. You know, they'll get into trouble, and then they won't be able to get out. But as long as they stick together, they can just keep acting smartly and do the right thing. There are other sort of annoying things. Like, I think for a stretch of episodes in the original Slayers, every episode seemed like it was the same thing. They would be in a different place, but they would fight the same bad guys, and then those bad guys would run away, and the next episode they'd be in a different place, and then they'd fight those same bad guys again.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I really enjoy, Slayers, the original series, has a really good, nice place in my heart, and I really enjoy it. It's one of my favorite old shows, but I enjoyed Slayers Next a lot more. So I think, Scott, when you see Slayers Next, your love of Slayers will come to a whole new level.
I don't know. I'm still more a fan of the Naga the Serpent because that stuff is just all out hilarity and doesn't even bother with the serious then hilarity then serious. It's just all funny.
Jellyfish and the sea cucumbers.
Exactly.
Or the giant golems.
Oh god.
Yeah, if you want to see really silly stuff, get all the Slayers
Tomato.
OAVs.
Yeah.
Yeah, God. Yeah, Slayers must be good because we just keep laughing as we remember scenes from it.
Yeah. So, anyone out there who doesn't know of Slayers, or maybe you know of it and you've never seen it, it is an anime that all should see and experience. I
mean, it's definitely not, I don't think, in my top 5 or top 10.
No.
But it is definitely on the list of, if you consider yourself an anime fan, but not like as in you would define yourself as a fan or anime is your thing, you really have no excuse to have not seen Slayers. That is like a must-see anime because so much comes from Slayers that is in modern anime, and it was such a good show when it came out. And the fact that it's still a pretty good show, all things considered, even today, it would even stand up to a lot of modern shows.
Yeah, and the thing is, even though some Slayers OAVs and movies are better than others, they're all at least at the bare minimum funny. You will laugh at no matter which one you watch. And if you don't laugh, you're not going to laugh at any of them.
Yeah, and if you don't laugh at them, there's a lot of anime you're not going to like.
There are also some Slayers video games. I know there's an SNES game, but they're all Japanese, and I don't think they've been translated.
The SNES game has been, but not officially. There have been...
It's not a fun game anyway.
Well, it's like Final Fantasy VI. It's a lot like Final Fantasy VI, in fact. And I played through a little bit of it, and then the translated ROM I was using, it turns out that whatever fucker translated the first bit and then just stopped. So one day I get to a village, like I get somewhere and I talk to someone and it's just gibberish and not even Japanese characters, it's just gibberish. And then everyone I talked to was gibberish and I couldn't progress through the game anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't really recommend it as a game you should play unless you're Japanese, then
Though,
you can read it.
I can't verify this because I didn't play through the game and I'm not going to look it up or anything, but I heard, here's some Slayers trivia for you, that Naga and Lena adventure, and then later Naga and Gaori and everyone else adventure. And there's really no overlap at all. Like, there's no continuity directly between the two. And apparently, in the video game, Gaori and Naga meet one another.
Oh my god.
Now, that is nothing but hearsay.
Yeah.
I will not back that statement up at all, but more than one person has told me this, and I've never bothered to look it up.
Yeah, like I said before, some Slayers things are Lena Inverse and Naga the Serpent, and no one else except for the bad guys, of course. And the rest of Slayers is Lena Inverse and an entire party of adventurers, but not Naga the Serpent.
Yeah, I'd go through all the characters because I could say a lot about them, but even describing
there's
the characters...
Gaori the fighter, there's...
Well, saying the names of certain characters ruins things that guy's not a villain.
It's true.
Because I'm assuming that people who are going to go out and watch the show because of us haven't seen it, and they won't know that that one guy is actually a really cool main character, or that other guy dies.
Yeah. It's generally, there's a fighter, there's a guy who's a magician, but he's a different kind of magician, like a druid type.
Yeah, there's a lot of continuity in the magic. Like,
there's a rogue type of person, kind of.
It is Dungeons & Dragons style magic. You say the spell, it happens. And the
Fireball! Whee!
The spells follow the same kinds of rules that D&D spells would. And in fact, the characters explain this stuff all the time. Like, they explain it to each other. They'll explain what spells do, just for the benefit of the watchers.
They'll lose their spell powers during that time of the month.
Yes, which... It's a really freaking good show. I don't know how many times I need to say that.
All right, I think that covers it.
Yeah, on to a few meta bits. Don't forget that next week is the last week before we go to Otakon.
And the week after that, we can't promise that there will be episodes.
Yes, most likely the week after Otakon, there are going to be some short, like 5 to 10 minute Geeknights specials that we're going to record ahead of time and set up to automatically upload because we're not going to be able to do the shows from the beach.
Well, I mean, we probably could, but it'd be too much effort going to McDonald's and using the Wi-Fi and...
Plus, I gotta tell you, once we get back the week after that, we are going to have almost a month worth of content from all the interviews and the coverage of Otakon and the coverage of Wildwood and all the crazy things we're going to do. We're bringing all this equipment. We're going to record almost everything we do throughout this entire 2 weeks of awesome.
It's going to be pretty freaking crazy. So don't be disappointed about, a week of not so good episodes.
And also, if you're planning on going to Otakon, if you're a member of the forums, say something in the forum. If you're not a member of the forums, join the forums. If you really don't want to join the forums, email us because we want to see all of you. We know a lot of you are going to Otakon, and I'm doing 2 panels, Scott's doing 1. We're going to be all over the place causing trouble.
Yeah. We're going to be freaking everywhere.
Yeah, and if you want to see a good time at Otakon, join the Front Row Crew posse because we are always there causing whatever trouble you're about to run into.
And the one place you can be guaranteed to see us, as always, is the Saturday night horrible, tasteless movie.
Yes, Saturday nights, probably sometime around midnight, probably in like panel or video 4.
Well, who knows? But look in the con schedule, and you'll see that there's one video room, and that video room shows only live-action cinema. If you go to that video room late Saturday night to watch the final show or, the late show that's horrible and disgusting, we will be there.
Oh, will we be there? We will be there with an entire crew.
We'll be there en force.
Yelling and screaming.
All right.
And that was Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcast, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geek Nights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night.